Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Madison and I do tarot and oracle readings, and I'll also implement some astrology as well. It's been a long time since I've made a video, and I do apologize for that for those of you who are into my videos and wait on them and, enjoy watching them. The main reason that this happened basically is because the job situation I had going on became very unstable, so I had to look for somewhere else to work. So that took months of job searching, interviewing, things like that. So most of my focus was on that. If you notice, I kind of started writing horoscopes, and that became kind of my way of contributing spiritually instead of like drawing cards and stuff like that. Getting ready for this reading, honestly, when I was looking through my cards, a lot of them were dusty. So it was like, it's just been a while since I've really done readings besides using my main 3 tarot decks. I have 3 main ones that I usually use for my work. So that's like for personal clients and stuff like that. But all my other decks just kind of got put on the back burner, while I figured out this situation. So things honestly should be more smooth going forward. And this is because I did find a stable place of work. I do have things going on. Things are kind of happening. And I have some other projects I've been working on that are going to come to you soon. And then I'm hoping that more videos on a more consistent schedule will also be, kind of what's going to be going forward from here on out in 2021. I did already film a 2021 predictions video, but I didn't like the way that it turned out. And it was also before the Great Conjunction happened. So yeah, I just really felt like it was before the Great Conjunction happened because I filmed this towards the end of November. And I felt like the messages were a little harsh. They were a little scattered. I also felt like they were long. Like I was like boring myself when I was doing them. So I decided I didn't want to do them that way. But it took me a while to kind of like make that decision. Like when I kept pushing off editing it over and over and over again, that kind of ended up telling me that like I didn't like the way that that was filmed. So I'm going to film a new one. An hour and a half of my life. Oh well. Like kind of thing. So, because I also feel like it gave me a lot of insight, and that's fine. So what I have here in front of me for 2021, I just got these crystal cards. I can learn more about crystals and also use them for videos so that you're able to visually choose which crystal is speaking to you. Okay, so I'm going to show them up on the screen in a second, but we're going to be starting over here on the left with this orange one as 1. And then 2, 3, 4 is that green one on the end. So go ahead and take your 3 deep breaths, close your eyes, meditate, figure out whatever message it is that you're wanting to hear right now. And then go ahead and skip forward into the video. I will have the timestamps in the comments, so you can go ahead and go forward to whichever message it is that you want to hear today. Okay, group 1, you chose orange calcite. Orange calcite is the hot-blooded, artistic, love-on-the-brain wild child of the calcite family. People who need it are artists holding the proverbial paintbrush and staring at the proverbial blank canvas. Anyone whose sex life needs a little more life could also use this crystal. When you want to make something beautiful, orange calcite's energy is all about breaking through the fog and the fear that hang on the path to creation. When you want to add some energy to your creative process or take on the Kama Sutra 1 page at a time, get with orange calcite's sun-kissed vibes. Unlock your creativity. So for those of you who chose this deck, we're talking creativity today. Okay. I also have my little oracle card. I haven't used those in a while, and I remember people used to really like them, so we're going to pull them back out today. Okay, so let's start with my basic Astro cards. What I have here is Cancer, and I have Mercury. Cancer, water energy, so emotions, and then Mercury is communication. So this tells me that for some of you guys, communicating might be a little too much lately. Like it might be too emotional for you to deal with emotions, so this could be affecting your creative energy, if that makes sense. Like you're so worried about possibly what other people are saying about you is really a message I'm getting, but I'm also getting too that like you might be worried about what you're saying about other people. Like maybe you feel like the people around you aren't very positive, but you don't like being a negative person, so you don't want to speak poorly of others. And it's reflecting in the way that you're approaching creativity because you feel very stuck. Like I feel like for some of you, you're almost gaslighting yourself. Like there's somebody in your life who is not treating you correctly, but for some reason you won't allow yourself to like admit that to yourself because you don't want to be mean. Okay? But it's not about being mean, it's about the truth. And I feel like many cancers do kind of deal with this because cancers are they can be controlling in a way, especially emotionally controlling. Like you guys really want people to be happy, and sometimes people just aren't happy, and that's where the manipulation comes in. So it's not really like manipulating to like cause harm, but it's more of like manipulating in a way that can be dismissive to other people's emotions, or it can be gaslighting to yourself because you're more obsessed with wanting to fix this person and wanting to make this person happy than you are about what the actual reality and truth is of the situation. So I feel like you're gonna have to kind of like ground yourself a little bit more whenever it comes to communicating and learning these things that are affecting you emotionally. And it'll help with your creativity because you might trust yourself a little bit more to be able to admit that things aren't the way that like, you feel like they are. We have New Moon in Taurus, prosperity lies ahead. So you do have something good coming for you very soon. Mars is going into Taurus pretty soon. So for a lot of people, that's going to be that's going to be a little bit more grounding energy than what we've had with the Mars being in Aries for the last 6 months. Like that created a lot of conflict, a lot of fighting, a lot of like really quick to like, be upset with somebody for something. And it's been causing a lot of drama. And then with Mars being in Taurus, it's going to be a little bit more chill. People are going to act a little bit more practically. With conflict, people are going to want to kind of like come to a conclusion together a little bit more, and they're going to be less so like, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? Like I'm sure a lot of us for the last 6 months have been feeling that with people around us, especially people who do have Aries in their chart. It's like 0 to 100, like out of nowhere. And that's including myself too. I literally have my Mars in Aries. So I've been also like real quick to be like, what does that mean? Or get upset about something. Okay, we have a theme, detachment, action, and empowerment. This is telling me right here that you do really need to work on that emotional strength because the detachment does help us in a lot of ways. So being able to detach from conflict and being able to just be an observer rather than a reactor, or to like get yourself so obsessed and so like involved in the current drama, that detachment can bring you an opportunity to empower yourself because then you're not a slave to your emotions and you're not a slave to other people's actions. And then we have gray feather here. Neutrality, teamwork, the middle path. Yes. Once again, kind of like being very neutral when it comes to things. I get the feeling that you're going to be a problem solver in 2021. So this is something you're going to have to kind of like deal with and work on, is this emotional strength and not get caught up in other people's drama or what other people want you to do too. Because sometimes we can get caught up into like what people want us to do. Because if somebody's so naggy and picky at you, you get to a point where you're like, what do you want? Like, what can I do to get you to leave me alone? And sometimes we do that with people we love too. And sometimes we do it with people we love that they're not really required to be in our lives, like a really close friend or a romantic relationship. There's no requirement, or even family actually. You're not required to keep your family close to you. So we feel this need to kind of like solve the issue so that they can finally stop being so negative or whatever it is, or so draining. And I'm here to kind of remind you that like that's not your baggage. That's not your job to fix something so that somebody else will calm down and stop being abusive towards you. It's not your responsibility to convince somebody to not abuse you. If you've confronted the situation, you've talked to this person, yet they refuse to change, they still continue to engage in these abusive and toxic behaviors, then Stop getting caught up in it. If this is a situation where you have to keep seeing this person, like let's say you guys live together, let's say it is a family bond and you don't want to cut this person off, that's fine. Or let's say it's a work situation, like it's a coworker, so it's not really up to you if they work there or not. These are going to be the situations where you engage in gray rocking, being gray, you know? Don't engage, respond, don't react, you know? And with toxic people too, honestly, it helps to be as boring as possible. If you don't ever really give them any like real details about yourself, if you don't tell them your, you know, fears, hopes, desires, all those things, they find you very boring because they're not able to suck energy from you. So in situations with toxic people who you feel are constantly draining your energy, just gray rock them. If you don't know what gray rocking is, look it up because it's a very helpful tactic when dealing with abusive individuals. Okay, so that's what we have for that so far. Let's get into these tarot cards I pulled. We have 3 of Cups. I feel like some of you guys will actually start to find your tribe this 2021 year. I feel like for a lot of you, you have struggled with these toxic relationships in your life, but you're tired of it because it's clogging up your creative energy. It's clogging up your ability to, you know, feel like anything good could happen, if that makes sense. Like you're feeling very limited. And so these relationships that you'll gain over the next year, and you'll be able to gain this through working on that communication we were talking about earlier. So if you're working on the fact that, you know, you're not going to get emotionally involved in what people say, you're not going to, you know, be super reactive. Like you can't stop yourself from always reacting. Sometimes you'll react, but it's important to take a moment to breathe and really think about what you want to say instead of just reacting. You know, reactions don't bring results. Productive conversations do. So sometimes it can be good too if you feel yourself reacting to be like, I need space and I need to like think about this. And if the person keeps pushing, just keep repeating yourself. They get tired of it eventually because you can only hit a brick wall so many times before you're finally like whatever and walk off. That doesn't mean they'll give up forever. They might come back and still try to convince you and still try to gaslight you into, you know, thinking that your emotions are wrong. But it's going to be up to you to do that centering, detachment, action, empowerment. It's going to be up to you to detach from that and work on an action plan for yourself and how to empower yourself in this situation. That doesn't mean power struggles, like you have power and they have power, or you have power over them now. That's not what it's about. It's about empowerment to yourself. Okay. I have King of Wands here. So this means that career-wise, you're going to... I felt the need to mention a coworker. So for career-wise, I feel like some of you are going to be dealing with like promotions or starting up your own business. We have this prosperity lies ahead. So it's like continuing to empower yourself and take action in these slow ways. Use the tools that you have, and you'll see prosperity in 2021. So either you're going to land that job or you're going to get that promotion. Something like that is going to happen. And then we have 6 of Cups here. And this is about passing down emotional knowledge kind of to the next generation. But this sometimes too can represent somebody from your past coming back, because this really has to do with like generational stuff or, you know, things like that. So I get the feeling that you're healing generational trauma in your life, and you don't want to be like your family anymore. You don't want to emotionally react. You don't want to be abusive outwardly as your family has been to you. That doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means they don't know how to deal with conflict, and they deal with it by hurting you or whatever. So, you doing this and healing this generational trauma is going to help you in the future with being able to deal with problems in a different way. That's where that creative energy can come in again. Creativity also is like a big part of the 5th house, and 5th house is like your family that you create, like your children that you create, the energy you create around you, things like that. All of those things are creative, and how you solve conflict can be creative as well. There's no like set rules of how you deal with conflict. There's no, you know, you don't have to do what your parents did. You also don't have to play by like this, you know, psychological book that you read or whatever. It's just like what's comfortable for you. So all this generational trauma that you've been healing is going to help you with creating stronger relationships, and that's going to include friendships and your romantic relationship, and then a family eventually, if that's what you choose to have. I can see that for you really manifesting in 2021. Not necessarily the family like happening in 2021, but definitely like healing those generational wounds and finally getting some prosperity in a way. Like accepting yourself is going to bring you rewards. Okay, and then we have this final card here, and this is for a possible situation you're dealing with at this moment, and this is an action for you to take charge. And all it says here is get more information. So there might be something that you're worrying about, especially whenever it did come to this reading. There's something that's popping up in your head, and Spirit is telling you before taking action, get more information. Like we were saying earlier, breathe, detach. Think about it, talk with somebody you do trust if you want like a different perspective or something like that. But really it's going to come down to you. Journaling can help as well, because it is kind of a form of detachment while working on the issue, because you're able to write it out and like think about it from the perspective of writing, because you're creating a sort of narrative, and it's like a form of meditation. Writing can be a form of meditation. Even if you write fiction, you're grounding yourself in a different environment and asking yourself what's here, what are the feelings, what's the vibe, so definitely like do something like that to give yourself like a different perspective and grounding energy when it comes to whatever this issue is that you currently have on your mind. Okay, that was my reading for group 1. Leave a comment to let me know if it resonated, and I will see you later. Okay, if you picked group 2, then you picked Obsidian. Protect your soul. Obsidian is a black volcanic glass. Before the internet, before AI, before kitten food delivering drones, like way back, early Homo sapiens were getting it done with obsidian tools. Capable of holding an extremely sharp edge, obsidian scalpels are used in surgeries today. People who need it are anyone looking to cut out negative people and patterns from their lives, and also Scorpios. So if you're a Scorpio, this is a sign that you chose the right deck. In your pocket, like a concealed weapon against bad vibes. This is where to carry it if you have obsidian on you. When to use it. When thinking positively seems out of the question. When dark forces are at work, dig in, arm yourself with obsidian, and throttle back. Okay, protect your soul from whoever is the toxic force in your life, okay? That's going to be important for you. So let's get more into this. We have Sun here. So I feel like a part of your personality and life purpose is kind of like coming to the forefront right now. And there's like these challenges that have to do with that. Like, what about your personality is something that you feel is making you stuck? And how can you move forward with that? And then we have 9th house here. So philosophy and experiences. This tells me as well that the way you think about the world and the way you think about life has been changing drastically. So it's important for you to embrace the philosophy that you are feeling now, because, you're not required to feel a specific way about something. You're not required to never change or anything like that, especially if you do have Scorpio in your chart. It's a part of your purpose to let things go. That's like the most important thing for you to learn as a Scorpio in this world. If you're not a Scorpio, it's important for everybody to learn it, but people have an easier time. We all know that Scorpios are known for being vengeful and stuff like that, but it's because there's this struggle to let go, but it's also a part of their shadow work. And anywhere you have Scorpio in your chart, or any 8th house placements that you have in your chart, those are opportunities for shadow work. Those are the areas of your life where you struggle to let go, and it's important for you to embrace letting go, especially of the things that are manifested in those areas. Okay? We have full moon in Cancer. A personal issue reaches resolution. So something you've been dealing with throughout 2020. In 2021, there's going to be a resolution for this. And it is going to deal with your personality. I feel like you're going to have a really big shift and change in your life where you're going to have to kind of let go of who you feel that you are personality wise. So this is going to cause rifts in your friendships, rifts in your relationships, because people are going to be like, I don't know you, especially if you're not engaging in the same toxic patterns you've always been engaging in. Like let's say your friend is used to you always complaining that nobody will ever love you, whatever. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be that negative or intense, but it's like something where like you're always complaining about how nobody will ever love you. But now you don't complain about that anymore. Now you talk about your hopes and your dreams and like this and that. They don't realize whenever they say you've changed, you're not being negative anymore. And they were used to you being negative. You were their friend that they would go to when they wanted negative energy. Sometimes we want negative energy and low vibrations. So they want to keep you at a low vibration and producing negative energy because that's what they seek. That's what they were seeking from you. And Scorpios also deal with this a lot with people who will go to them because they want to vent. And you can always vent to a Scorpio because they don't mind talking about intensities. They don't mind talking about traumas. They don't mind any of that stuff. So a lot of people will turn to Scorpios to complain about what's going on in their lives. But then whenever a Scorpio needs them, then all of a sudden they're like very pushy and like back offish. Even if you say something that's really not that negative, but in their head, you're viewed as a negative person, they're going to interpret it as negative anyways. So like this becomes a person you can't even open up to at all because you can't tell them anything that isn't sunshine and rainbows. And so for a lot of you, you're kind of stuck in these relationships and you have to protect your soul from these types of people because they're not being protective of your soul. They're not even honoring you or respecting you. They're not even listening really, you know? They've just labeled you as this specific type of person who gives off this specific type of energy, especially if it's intensity. So they don't really want to engage sometimes whenever it's not convenient for them, but then that leaves you where, you know? Who's there for you to vent to? Who's, you know, on your side? You know, and so I feel like you're going to have to go through this in 2021 of figuring out like what exactly that means. Like, who am I personally? What parts of myself are a gift? What parts of myself do I harp on too much? Like, am I supposed to let these things go? Like, what exactly is it about myself? And that's going to be where that shadow work takes place because there is a thin line between accepting yourself and just being off-putting. And you have to figure out where that line is. Am I pushing people away or am I accepting myself? If you're purposefully making people uncomfortable, that's not really accepting yourself. That's more of like you projecting like a false self. Like it's like, I've been told I'm off-putting by people a lot, so I'm just going to be off-putting. And I'm just going to push people away because I've been told that I'm this type of person, so I'm going to do it. That's a false self. You really don't have to do that. You can really like think before you speak to people. And with each person, think differently about like who this person is and if they suck energy from you. I've started doing that with people who I realize sucked energy from me. I just don't give as much energy to them. And then, you know, guess what? Whenever they want advice, they just start telling me stuff. And then I'm like, okay. And then they're like, so what do you think? And I'm like, oh, you want my advice? And they're like, yeah, I would like your advice. So I feel like whenever I say that out loud, that's us, you know, figuring out that there's a consent here whenever it comes to advice, because I had felt for a long time that people would come to me for my wisdom, but they would never ask directly. They would just like talk about what's going on in their lives, and then I would just like give them my perspective, and then they would like either get upset because that's not what they wanted to hear, and then they would turn it into, well, I didn't need you telling me anything, blah blah. And it's like, okay, well then why did you come and complain to me for 45 minutes, you know? And then, but it was really like they wanted me to agree. They wanted me to be like, yeah, totally, you should like tell them this or whatever, because I can give that energy sometimes. But I've decided to stop doing that. I've decided to stop pumping people up emotionally in that way. So you might be, I have Scorpio placements as well. So that's also another reason of why I'm like digging into this reading in particular and telling you like the shadow work I've done to deal with my Scorpio placements. So, doing that did create like this, it made me realize who my real friends are by like doing this, or recognizing that like there are people who seek my intensity, but then they don't want to be helpful when I need help or when I'm in trouble, or even when things are going well for me. They don't want me to switch out of the mode where my intensity caters to them, you know? Because sometimes I can be intensely happy, and they don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with somebody who is very happy. So I just kind of like, if I can't express myself with that person, then our interactions are pretty limited, right? And that is me respecting their boundaries as well. I respect your boundary that you don't want to deal with my intensity, but I'm not going to be my total self with you because I am an intense person. So that's kind of like becomes the like cutting people out type of thing. So think about that from your perspective of like who you are. Are you a person who is emotional? Like, do you cry often? So people come to you whenever they want somebody to cry for them, but then whenever you're crying about something else, they don't want to be around you. You can accept that you are an emotional person, and that you're not going to cry around certain people because it bothers them, but you can still honor the fact that sometimes you need to cry, so you can go like cry by yourself or like whatever, and like that's okay because that's the way that you express yourself. It's just like figuring out where those boundaries are, where you're not disrespecting other people's boundaries and other people aren't using your energy, pulling from you, like all that stuff, because it can be difficult if you're an empathic person, which I get the feeling from this that you are. It can be very difficult to deal with people who want to suck your energy away, because there's no limit on that for them. There's a limit for you, and you feel it whenever like you hang out with somebody and you feel drained afterwards. That person was sucking your energy away. Okay? All right. So that was a little rant on this one, but I feel like it was very important for a few of you guys watching this. We have, for magic tools, we have cauldron, so cycles, alchemy, and transmutation. So this tells me to like use the tools you have around you to kind of like start making these changes in your life. Like, how can you start making these changes in a way that is like physical? I'm getting the feeling like physical. So like if you don't like the way that you look on the outside, are there small things that you can do? Like, can you add a new skin routine in? Can you wear makeup? Can you go to the dermatologist? You know, like what is something that you can do to fix this current situation? If you don't like your weight, can you start exercising? It doesn't even have to be super exercising. It can start with walking. I know lots of people like crap on walking, but walking can make a significant difference, especially if you start off with doing like 2 or 3 10-minute walks a day, so you're getting your 30 minutes in of exercising, and then you like slowly start increasing it and increasing that. And that's good even for people who are chronically ill. Going for walks is like really good for you, because if you have muscle depletion, then it's difficult to get out of bed and like all of those things. And like I know that it sucks. Like I've totally been there. I've been bedridden before. But it really is like you gotta like start doing those small ways of getting exercise, resting when you need to, but making sure you get back up. Because sometimes too you'll feel sore and hurting, and then you go on a walk and you feel better. And you're like, I did not think a walk was gonna make me feel better. I thought I couldn't walk. But I went and did a little 10-minute walk, and my back is loosened up. My hips feel better, my knees like popped a couple of times, and now I'm like moving a little bit more and I have more energy. So for some of you guys, it's really going to be like something physical that you can start doing to kind of like start changing something about yourself. And then we have West here. So emotion, self-worth, and endings. We already went over a lot of that, right? So I don't feel like I have to like keep beating the nail over the head with that one, you know? So like, yeah, for a lot of you guys, you're developing this self-worth, you're understanding your emotions a little bit better, and you're ending toxic cycles and probably even relationships that just aren't benefiting you. We have 10 of Swords. So this tells me that there is a toxic situation or relationship you walked away from, and it's here with that personality, or with the Sun and with the 9th house. So that really tells me that the relationship that ended was something that you didn't think would ever end. It was something that was like you had to question your personality. You had to question the way you saw life with the philosophy and the exploring. So this relationship ended, and it totally changed your life in 2020. So in 2021, it's going to be that growth and that like getting back into what it is that you need to get into. We have 6 of Swords reversed here. So this tells me that you're really asking yourself, like, was all the time and effort I put into this person worth it? And I'm going to tell you right now, try to get out of that mind state, because there is no wasted life, okay? So, like, we might spend a lot of our lives living in cycles over and over again, but it's not wasted. You just needed that much time to learn your lesson. And now that you've learned your lesson, you can start taking those active tools and the physical changes in your life to start living a better life without this person. And then we got 7 of Wands here too, and that's with that self-worth. So this tells me that boundary building is going to be very important for you. And it is difficult at first to navigate, and it's also very painful, because when you start establishing boundaries with everybody, if you're a person who has weak boundaries, that already means that your family doesn't like having boundaries with you. That already means that off the bat. because you were raised to not have boundaries. So boundaries make you uncomfortable, and that is the fault of your family that you grew up with. They did that. So whenever you start to decide, I want to start establishing boundaries with people, you're going to get pushback from family. You're going to get pushback from those friends you've been friends with for a long time because they enjoyed having a friendship with you where the boundaries weren't clear. So now it really becomes like, who are my real friends and who are my real family members that like respect me, and like, where is that line? And then like cutting people out, even if that doesn't mean like totally cutting them out of your lives, but like cutting that emotional cord where they have that emotional power over you is very difficult, because you might see sides of them you've never seen before. Whenever people are being given boundaries, they react. And some people react very intensely. You can see sides of them you didn't even know that they had, because you're holding a boundary and you won't let it go. You won't just let them abuse you. You're like, I don't like whenever you talk to me like that. And if you're going to talk to me like that, I'm going to leave. And then they try to do everything they can to convince you that like you deserve to be spoken to like that. And then you hold that ground of like, no, I don't. And if you still talk to me like that, I'm going to leave. And then if you're in a situation where they do speak to you like that and you do get up and leave, they're going to react because they don't like this. They don't like you having boundaries. But like, you have to save yourself. Protect your soul. You have to save yourself from these people, you know, because they're not looking out for you. They're looking out for themselves. And I'm not saying that this is purposeful either. I'm not saying they're evil. I'm saying a lot of this is instinctual. When you're raised in a family unit where nobody has boundaries with each other, and then one person decides to have boundaries, it can be hurtful. And it's also kind of like showing you too that like you have more control over yourself than you think. And a lot of people don't want to have control. A lot of people want to be a victim. So this is going to be the work for you in 2021, is going to be establishing these boundaries that protects your soul. Listen to your body. Whenever you feel yourself being drained, whenever you feel yourself like you have to lay in bed because you just can't today, backtrack and figure out why. How did I get to this point? What harsh conversations did I have? Who's not respecting me when I say I don't want to hear about this person that I've cut off? Who's not respecting me whenever like, you know, I don't want to hear updates about my past abuser, you know, like all these things are things that like you have to cut out and really start establishing these boundaries with these people. Okay. Okay. And this is for, you might have a question in your mind at this moment, and this card is going to be kind of like help with that question. We have, you're going in the right direction. So if you've been listening to this reading and you're wondering if the choices you've recently been making are right, especially when it comes to ending that relationship, this is the sign for you that you're going in the right direction. You're making the right choices. You're going on the path that you need to be going on. And that's great. Continue to protect your soul in 2021. Okay, so that was your reading. Thank you for watching. If this resonated, please leave a comment to let me know. And I will see you next time. Okay, if you picked group 3, then you picked Black Tourmaline. This card kept popping out to me whenever I was shuffling, so this is going to kind of be my deck too, I think. Protect your light. What it is, grounding Black Tourmaline is a slightly magnetized, semi-precious gemstone with a reputation for protecting a delicate psyche from a case of the crazies and establishing powerful energetic boundaries between you and all zombies out there. Who needs it? Everyone. Where to put it? Beside your doors to keep your emotional vampires out. On your person, in your pocket, everywhere. When to use it? Anytime you take public transportation, find yourself in a crowd, or hear that sucking sound of a coworker, family member, or malignant demon taking more from you than you are giving back. Protect your light. Okay, cool. The pile right before this was to protect your soul, so we kind of went over a lot of this stuff. If you were drawn to both gems, then you're getting both messages. So that one was about protecting your soul from people who are sucking from it. And then this one, is going to be about protecting our light. So we're already on the path of like, we've learned to protect our soul from people, but now it's about protecting what we know that we have, which is our light. You know, whenever you become a light worker, whenever you become somebody where like, you just know that your purpose in this world is to bring happiness to other people or to bring peace to other people. When you just know that that's like your reason to be on this earth, then like you know that you have light. You know that you are a light person. And you know whenever you deal with abusive or whatever people, because a lot of us too, whenever we get to this point where we're like, I am a light worker, that usually means that you have dealt with somebody extremely abusive. You've seen the darkness. You've seen the devil, the malignant demons that they're talking about. You've looked in someone's eyes and seen shark eyes where there's darkness and nothing back there. And you've seen that, identified what it was, and decided that wasn't for you. And then that sent you on a path of light, because it's like, I can't allow myself to be pulled down into the darkness like that. I cannot live in the dark. I can only live in the light, you know? And that does not mean like all positivity. There's still shadow work to be done. There's still demons you'll deal with. There's still karmic relationships. There's still all of those things. But it's that start. It's that decision. I am a light worker. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, you're a light worker. Okay. We have Neptune, imagination and transcendence. This is where our dreams are. This is where we're kind of like romantic almost in the idea of how we want our lives to be. And then we have 10th house, so career, status, and power. So I feel like a lot of you guys really legitimately are light workers. So you make some form of income from doing light work. So that can be creativity, that can be readings, that can be astrology, that can be whatever it is that you consider part of bringing peace and love into people's lives, or helping them find that within themselves through your work. We have waxing moon. The energy is gaining momentum. So this means in 2021 that you're really going to be gaining this momentum here whenever it does come to establishing yourself as a person who works with light, as a person who helps other people. It's going to be really important for you to start establishing that career-wise or like status-wise that you want to be known as this type of person. And I think the also protect your light thing is coming from the idea of like, don't do this work for free, literally. Even if it's an exchange of something, it doesn't have to be money. It could be an exchange of something. This person helped you out and you want to help them out by giving them a reading and they appreciate it because they really felt like they needed it. You can do things like that. Or I have a friend who does readings for people and then asks them just to donate to charities. So if they send her like a screenshot that they donated to a charity, she'll do a reading for them. So there's all these different ways that you can express this light and make it a part of like who you are and make it a part of your power as well, that you have the ability to do this, you know, and to kind of like make it known to people that like, I am a light worker. I'm not necessarily a life coach. You could be a life coach if you wanted to be, but it's like, you're not necessarily like doing that, but like you are taking on clients where like you'll help them periodically and there's an exchange in some way. So don't do this for free. Don't do this for energy vampires. Okay. And, or even if somebody is paying you, but you're getting this feeling that they are an energy vampire, like they keep coming back and they just want like you to reaffirm to them that what they're doing is correct, even though they're just living in cycles and patterns and they seem to get angry, but they still keep coming. That's like an awkward situation. And that's something you can deal with like on a professional level of like how you want to deal with this person. But yeah, in general, like figure out like who are your emotional vampires and how can you get away with them? And like, we can't really live in this dream world where they don't exist. It's just a part of, you know, this work. People are drawn to, darkness is drawn to light, like hardcore. So just remember to have like these strong boundaries because the energy around your growth is it's charging, you know, in 2021. We have Rainbow Moonstone, Divine Feminine, Mystery, and Wisdom. If I didn't already have the feeling that you were a light worker, this is like freaking double. So you're really embracing that inner wisdom of yourself. Ooh, we have Root Chakra here too. Boundary, grounding, and nourishment. Okay, so I got water and earth. That's my whole chart, guys. So this is definitely about me too. Okay, so water and earth here we have. So it's important to have those boundaries and the grounding and taking care of yourself. That nourishment is going to be important as well. So like if you feel like you've been giving a lot and you just feel like run down, like you really need to rest or something like that, then you rest. And honestly, you should try to rest before you get to that point. I struggle with that too. This past week, I feel like I got into a flare because I just have been all over the place. Holidays happened and I was helping my family And it really just came and just hit me, you know, and I had to like call into work one day, and then the next day, luckily we had plans, but they all got canceled, and I was like, thank God. So for like 2 days I like slept. Like I slept in, then took a nap, then went to bed early, you know, for like 2 days. But it really helped. I feel more recharged, obviously, because I'm able to record today, and I haven't recorded in like 6 weeks, so it's awesome. Okay, and then that divine feminine is like embracing the fact that like there is a mystery to light work. Like people don't really understand how you can like stay positive, but it is one of those things too where it's like it's just within myself. Like yeah, I do choose to like be positive because it is easy to be negative, but in the long run it's not easier, right? Like the more that we're like negative and the more we don't believe in ourselves, the more things just don't work out. And like I did feel myself being sucked into that hole probably between, I would say, 2017 to 2019, like the end of 2019. I felt myself being sucked into that hole for sure. Things kept going wrong. I was creating like toxic friendships for myself and stuff like that, and it really was like going that direction, and I didn't believe in myself. I didn't even know I was a light worker at that time. I didn't know what was going on. And then I kind of awoke into it at the end of 2019 that like I'm a light worker. This is something that I should be doing. And it's something I've always done but didn't know what it was. Like I've always helped people, but I didn't have these boundaries to protect my light, which is why I was getting into toxic friendships. I was getting into friendships with people who loved that I was a problem solver, but wanted to blame me for all of their issues. They wanted me to fix everything. I even had one friend that wanted me to literally do emotional labor for her all the time. Like she wanted me to constantly talk her through her problems. Like I'm talking every day, multiple times a day throughout the day. Like she wanted me to like be on her, making sure that like she was emotionally okay at all times. And like, that's too much for somebody to do for someone else. So, there's that mystery around like, how are you this type of person? And it really comes from that, like, one, it's a part of like what you feel your life purpose is. And then two, like I said, you have that moment of looking at a malignant demon, seeing the dark eyes and nothing within, and deciding from there on out, you're not going to do this. And that's where that wisdom plays a role, is because it's like, I've been there. There's nothing there for me. You know, there's nothing there for anyone. But some people convince themselves that that's where they're meant to be, and we can't fix that. So that's where protecting your light comes in, because some people will try to pull you back down. They'd rather convince you that the light doesn't exist than be in the light. They would much rather convince you that like life isn't worth living than like live a moment where they feel that it does, you know? So it's like that becomes like that light and dark is just like separate. Okay. And so figuring out your divine feminine, so like embracing your emotions, recognizing that your emotions don't make you manipulative. A lot of people try to convince you of that. Like they'll abuse you, and then whenever you cry about it, they'll tell you you're being manipulative, but it's like you're being abusive, you know? So it's like you really have to like learn how to trust yourself and trust your emotions and your intuition, and understand for yourself that you are not being manipulative. And like you have to figure that out for yourself. You have to figure out what your boundaries are, what's okay and what's not okay. You can ask people. Therapy is a good suggestion as well. But for the most part, though, it does come down to like, what makes you feel comfortable and what doesn't, you know? And if what's making you feel uncomfortable is someone else's boundary, then you have to work on that as well. Okay, so let's see what we have tarot card wise. We got the 3 of Wands here, reversed. So I feel like for some of you, this means that you started up doing something, but you feel like you got pushed back. And that's just a test from the universe. Like, keep doing what you need to do. I mean, obviously, if you're feeling this hardcore pushback, or you get another idea to do something else, then do something else. But don't, like, give up on being a light worker. You know what I mean? Like, we're always going to face challenges. We're always going to have to do shadow work. There will be moments where you have, Imposter Syndrome for sure, because like we all go through dark periods. So to expect yourself to be like this like magical guru who's always like good vibes and is never depressed or upset, that's just not a reality. That's not real. We all deal with shadow work. We all have our issues, and many of us who are light workers have dealt with a lot of trauma. So a lot of us do deal with like being sick, depression, anxiety, all those things. And it's okay to like accept those parts of yourself, because accepting it and adjusting to it and making time for it and making sure that you're not getting burnt out repeatedly, it's going to overall improve your life. So you might have been pushed back by something, but that's okay. Take the time you need to figure out where you want to go next, but don't like stop. Don't stop pursuing your light work, you know? We have the star reverse. So yeah, some of you guys are like kind of like giving up hope here, but your energy is gaining momentum. Like you are moving forward. You might not feel that way, but maybe look at how you were at the beginning of 2020 and now it's 2021, you know? You're gaining momentum and your abilities are going to strengthen over the next year. I have that for sure here. They're going to strengthen. So try not to give up hope. And then we have 7 of Swords reversed with this root chakra. And this tells me that the more you release the feeling of caring what people are saying about you behind your back, the more you're going to be grounded, the more you're going to nourish yourself and like those like strong boundaries with other people. Don't get caught up in what you think other people are saying, because negative people are going to be negative. And abusers are going to want to run around and tell everybody first that you abused them, you know, or that you deserved it for some reason. They're going to want to go around first and like tell everybody. By the time you even realize someone's abusing you, they could have already like started this. They could have already been telling people you're doing stuff. And you can't control that. And if people believe this person and are no longer friends with you, or your family is upset with you over this person, then like they don't really have your back, and that's like, okay, bye. You know? Because we're not living in the past, okay? We're living in the present moment, and we're moving forward. We're not living in the past. We're not hating ourselves for things we did whenever we were 10 years old. We're not hating ourselves for things we did whenever we were in survival mode. We're not hating ourselves for that stuff. We are growing from it. We're accepting, I did do that, but I know that it's wrong and I'm not going to do that anymore. And then actively work to not do it anymore. You know? Okay, so you might have a current situation in your mind that you're thinking about. And this card is just kind of like a little like thing to like help you with that. But we have go, the time is right. So this means that something you've been thinking about taking action on, the time is right. So just go ahead and do it. You know, whatever this thing might be. For some of you, I get the feeling that it's finally leaving a toxic situation. For some of you guys, I feel like it's like making that start to like, you know, buy your website or, you know, something like that for some of you guys, like something business-wise. So this is telling you to like go ahead and do it because it's a good time to do it. And it's a good time to kind of like set the tone for how 2021 is going to go. You're going to have a lot of growth and you're going to be releasing the way that like people use your energy, and don't let people like trying to keep you into a box like stop you from embracing your true self and stuff. Okay, all right, so that is my reading for you, group 3. If that's resonated, please leave a comment to let me know, and I will see you next time. Okay, if you picked group 4, then you chose the green calcite. What it is: green calcite is the emo, honest to fault, believes in storybook endings, tree hugger of the calcite family. Who needs it? Anyone who finds themselves lost in the forest of doubt without a map, and Libras. So if you're a Libra, this is a sign that you chose the right deck. Where to put it? Against your chest when making important decisions regarding how you want to spend the finite, precious time you have on Earth. When to use it? When your heart is asking for something but you, aren't listening. The heart wants what it wants. The mind wants what it thinks the heart should want. Call on the energy of green calcite to nudge that push and pull in the heart's favor. Live out your heart's desire. Okay, so for some of you guys, we're going to be listening to our heart a little bit more. And I can understand why Libras would need that, because Libras struggle with like what's right and wrong a lot. Okay, so we have 4th house here. Home, parents, and security. That's kind of like what's in question right now. And then we also have 2nd house, so finances and possession. Okay. So this tells me for some of you guys, whenever it comes to your heart's desire, I think it has something to do, it definitely has something to do with like your home, and it has something to do with, I think that you want to upgrade in some way. Like some of you guys want to move out of your parents' home. Some of you guys want to literally buy a house. For a lot of you guys, it's really about like finances and home coming together. Maybe you want to remodel your home. Maybe you want to get new things. Something like that is definitely like what we have here. Full moon in Capricorn, the end of a tough cycle approaches. So you went through something in 2020 and it's ending. And this opens you up in 2021 to kind of like upgrade your living situation. We have Black Feather, waning or warning, quiet, and loss. So, okay, so this tells me you might have lost somebody in 2020. So that means that on top of the pandemic and everything, you also were dealing with a personal loss, and, that happens. Our lives didn't stop just because the pandemic started, you know what I mean? So, you've been having to deal with that, and I think that could be promoting this idea of home and finances and stuff like that, is like maybe that person who you lost in your life, like their current living situation or the way they were living, like made you really start thinking about what it is that you want for your life. Like it kind of gave you that wake up call of like that life is short. And then we have Abalone, ritual, awareness, and balance. Okay, so yeah, I feel like this was like probably part of your spiritual awakening in some way, or another spiritual awakening if you already, were on a spiritual path. This is like that next level of like, okay, what do I do now? Like I've gone through this loss, like what's the next step for me in this body, We have 10 of Wands. So this tells me that you hold a lot of the responsibility in your house, because it's going to be down here with the house and the finances. So you hold a lot of the responsibility. You're carrying everybody. So this makes me think that maybe the person who you lost was a family member, and that now there's this like division of like, okay, how do we take care of these other family members that were left behind? They were taking care of them, and then now I'm in a position where like I could help them, but it would really like take up everything that I have. And so for 2021, you might deal with like balancing that, because you have your duty to take care of your family, but it's also like at what cost to yourself. And I feel like that's really going to be a theme for 2021 for you. We have 5 of Swords here. So this tells me that your pride could have gotten in the way as well. Maybe you could have had a fight with this person before you lost them, or maybe you're fighting with the people now because you have like this like issue, this like blow to your pride almost. Like maybe the fact that like it's not as easy to take care of them, or that you're gonna have to take care of them, might have made you angry. So now you're dealing with the fact that like you have to lose like parts of yourself in order to help the people, like I was saying, in 2021 that seems to be a major theme. So this is kind of a warning too, to not let your pride get in the way. So like just because you're paying for things doesn't mean that they're not allowed to have fun. They're not allowed to ask for like special things for themselves. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. You can't make money up here, but don't make them feel guilty for asking for it. Just be like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't, like, right now. And then help them in some way that they can start making money for themselves. If they're a kid, there are small things they can do to like make a little bit of money. Maybe not necessarily from you, but like they could mow somebody's lawn. They could walk their neighbor's dog. I know that there's COVID going on, but like that doesn't mean that people stopped needing those things, So whatever that like natural like difference is there, where it's going to be safe for everybody, and it's a way for people to kind of like have their own needs be met. Don't feel like you have to meet everybody's needs, or that you have to be the sole provider for everybody. Like you can also like apply for some type of benefits, or you can ask for help from other people, whatever it is that you need to do. Don't let pride get in the way where like you're hurt because you can't provide this thing for them, and then you're making them feel bad for even asking. Like erase that from your reactions, And then we have the Hanged One reversed here. So that tells me too that you're being forced to see things from a new perspective. Oh my gosh, my throat. Your throat chakra is banged up. You are not saying what you feel towards people. And we also have Capricorn. You see it clearing up now that I'm telling you something? We also have Capricorn down in here. You're not saying what you truly think. And if you're also a Libra, that's part of it too. You're not saying what you're really thinking. And it's like all choked up. It's like, oh my God, like I can't even speak. It's so like clogged. So like you really need to say what you're thinking, but try to say it in a way that's positive and in a way that isn't just your pride or your ego like reacting to people. You got to tell people when that emotion first starts. Like, hey, I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed, I think I'm going to need some time to myself, or like something. Ask for help in some way. Okay, that like cleared me up. Okay, so like you're going to be forced to see things from a new perspective, which is where those rituals, awareness, and balance is going to come in. Because when I pulled that card, I was kind of like, what? But it makes sense now, because like you're not used to asking for help. You're not used to schedules. You're not used to all these things you're having to pick up now that like this person in your life is gone and you have all these responsibilities. So it's going to be important for you to like see things from a new perspective and find balance and become very self-aware. Whenever you're in charge of other people, you have to be self-aware, because you can accidentally inflict abuse onto them because you're not being self-aware. Our unconscious behaviors are not good. Like, think of yourself whenever you're really tired and you're hungry, and you'll be almost manipulative just to get what you want because you need to eat or you need to lay down and go to sleep, and like you don't really care if what you're doing is socially okay or not, because like you're just thinking about, you know, that's where that instinctualness comes from. So you got to like figure out for yourself how to find balance with that and how to be self-aware enough and like keep to schedules and rituals and things like that to keep your head above water, so you're not just behaving unconsciously or reacting unconsciously and hurting the people around you. Okay, so you probably have a situation in your mind that you're thinking about, and this card is going to be helpful with that. But this card just says no. So there's something you're thinking about. There's something it is that you want out there, and this card is telling you no, that's probably just not going to happen. Okay? Sorry about that. I don't like giving bad news whenever I'm doing readings, but like I read what I see. I'm a very like what it is what it is. If that resonated, please leave a comment to let me know. And I will see you next time. Good luck in 2021. Looks like there's going to be a lot of growth. It's just going to be difficult. You're going to be going through something that not a lot of people go through. So that's going to be kind of like just a part of life for you. And that's okay, because everything we learn about, we grow from. And you're going to have that choice kind of in this next year of deciding to let something bring you down or deciding to let something bring you hope. And, you know, count your blessing, I guess is a way of thinking of it. Count your blessings even at your darkest points. That doesn't mean that the things you're upset about don't exist, but it's just like, take a moment to be like, you know what, things really suck right now, but I have food in the fridge. I have family around me that loves me. I have, you know, the opportunity to work enough to pay for all of us, even if we're not living lavishly, you know? There's so many things that you have that you can appreciate, you know, even small things like, it's a really pretty day today, you know? Try to like get your mind into thinking about those things. That doesn't mean that the other things don't exist. It just means like, you know what, with all of those things that exist, at least today is a pretty day, you know? And like those problems don't go away just because it's a pretty day, but I can take a moment to appreciate that. Okay? All right. So that's me finally being done for real. I just felt like I had to like say that for you guys. All right. So bye and good luck.